Hey there fellow wargamers, it's the Sentinel from across the tabletop, and we've got another army lined up from the team tournament that we're taking to the international teams tournament in Northampton, and that's going to be at the end of the month. And this team is led by Rob, the dusty old guy.
Cheers.
We still haven't worked out the proper name for it yet, so if you've got any tips and hints or nickname that you want to give him to the old guy or the dusty guy or the dusty ones or something like that, let us know, drop it in the comments below. So this is Rob's army that he's going to be taking. It's a 2,000 points battalion list.
It's a battalion list, single detachment. Yep.
And did you want to run through with what you got today?
So, big blob of blue and yellow, basically. It's been tweaked a lot with the practice games we've been having, and I've dropped it down to 3 characters, just the plain straightforward 3 HQ, so no free slots on this one. So we've got the Exalted Sorcerer on a disc. He's got no real buffs like the Legion commands that we've got access to for extra wounds and things like that. So he's just a bog standard Exalted Sorcerer on a disc, just for that mobility between units for buffs. He's all about keeping the guys alive with things like Glamourer and Weaver of Fates for that -1 to hit and the 4-up invul.
Okay, awesome.
That's his role, basically. Not figured out exactly who's going to have what relic yet, because I'm still in whether he should be taking the Cult Relic or something like the Umbrellific Crystal, or something else, So still got those few things to tweak over the next week. So
the army's got to be submitted by the end of the week, so
yeah, exactly. It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
It's got to be painted as well, as some of you have probably noticed. So Warlord then in the middle.
Warlord in the middle.
Ahriman.
Okay, so this is your leader of the army, and it's Ahriman, the famous sorcerer of them all.
Yeah, my old school model, I think I painted him about
he's really
7
heavy.
years ago.
He's the lead one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel the weight difference. That's an amazing piece, though.
I've just left him as is. Again, no disc on him. He's going to be in the back line helping with buffs, and he's the one that's going to have that access to Doom Bolt, temporal manipulation, for the healing, and Swelled by the Warp, those kind of buffs that when things
army
get also handy for Doom Bolt on the table, because once you've cast it, if someone else is on the board and you think, well, I need a Doom Bolt here, you got the Cabal points, and again Ahriman and the Exalted, that's 6 Cabal points before you've even done anything else, so that's cool. Pretty standard.
And the guy on the right,
that's the new model that came out.
Oh, this is a new model
with the new box set.
He's
the
like
Infernal
twice
Master.
I can't believe how tall he is compared to Ahriman.
The scale creep's definitely in there now. The newer models for sure.
But he looks so cool.
But yeah, I like that. He's basically
the
a Thousans
detail
Sons chaplain,
on him,
isn't he?
Yeah, Thousans Sons chaplain. Yeah, but the detail on the model itself. GW don't half make some great looking sculpts nowadays.
They're starting to get the knack of the flames twisting into smoke and stuff. So that's one of the elements I really like about that model.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. The box standard kind of paint job on them. But he's there.
And he had to be on a rock as well. I just noticed.
It's the hero rock.
The hero rock,
rock.
Yeah. Not wooden stump like they did for the guard. He's got a rock.
He's got a hero rock. So we've got he's running pretty well. I think, given that he can give +1 strength to ranged weapons on a unit, sticking him in the back is a pretty standard thing now. And if you get guys coming close enough, he can take 2 pacts. So you can always take the one that just dishes out D3 mortal wounds on a 3-up in the command phase. That's always handy to have.
And that's massive, because it's a completely different separate phase. It is the command phase, the psychic phase, and then you've still got your shooting and assault phase. You've just added yourself another part of another mechanic to the actual game where you can be more efficient in killing your enemy. So I think that's really, really cool.
So he gives some handy buffs, because the shooting phase is a bit lacking with the Thousans Sons. We've got some stuff that can
AP2 across the board and all your bolters.
Yeah, but we're maxing out like strength 6, strength 5.
Yes.
So we haven't got anything that massively hits armor and stuff. So being able to dish out some more wounds in the command phase, I think.
Absolutely, that's what you're definitely looking for.
Pretty handy.
Yeah.
It doesn't get buffs from Cabal points though, because it's not a psychic.
No, it's like I said, it comes out of the phase.
It's just a command phase roll. So, so they're my 3 HQs. Exalted Sorcerer, Ahriman as the Warlord, because of his 3-up invul at some point in the game was always handy, and the Infernal Master.
Before we move on,
go for it.
Everybody's going to be asking, what cult are you running? And then
people looking at this list,
why are you running that cult?
People looking at this, they're probably going to think loads of rubrics, loads of Terminators. He's going to be running time. For the ability to bring back that Terminator and buff that squad and that kind of stuff. But I think when you're looking at a tournament play, mobility being key, it's got to be duplicity for that sorcerer's facade. You can blip a unit across the table. Job done.
So
really. You can
the cult of duplicity.
Cult of duplicity, yeah. Purely for their psychic power, not necessarily their warlord trait or the relic, but they might come in handy. Obviously, the relic allows you to do your roll for an extra command point in the command phase. On a 1 though, your opponent gets it.
Yes, yeah,
So
we've seen that. Yeah, it's a bit one of those up in the air, can switch.
You might. I think I've maxed out on 2 command points from it.
But it's nice though, because I think it's read that it's a relic. Did you say?
Yeah, that's the relic.
That's a relic, yeah. And it's on a character, so as long as you keep that character alive, you're going to have that opportunity to generate additional command points.
And later in the game, 1 command point can be quite crucial if you get to turn 4, turn 5, and everyone's zeroed out.
Oh yeah, and then producing 2 on turn 4 or 5 is huge. Yeah.
Because it gives you that interrupt at the right time.
At the right time.
Things, you know. And obviously the warlord trait that comes with duplicity, which I'm unsure about yet, because I think it's just been tweaked within new FAQs and stuff in its use, is being able to basically redeploy at the start of the battle.
Yes.
So you can take 3 infantry units, like 3 rubric units, and that warlord, and you can redeploy them basically. So it might be a good counter if you bubble up in one corner, they deploy opposite you, and then you can put 3 units on the other side of the table.
Well, looking at this, I mean, for one mission in particular, which is the old priority targets, which is now the new precious artifacts mission 33, that would be crucial. Because you don't find out, because the way the rules are tweaked in that one, you don't find out which one you have to protect until the start of the game.
Yeah.
Once all your units have deployed, and then your opponent tells you, I want you to protect, say objective B, and you haven't put anything on it. Well, you haven't put enough on it. You get the opportunity now to redeploy and go, well, that's my precious artifact, and now I'm going to defend it with everything I got. So I think you've definitely got to play with that.
It helps you capture the points, and keeping models alive is great for securing a primary objective, for instance, but being able to capture points more rapidly and flexible with that.
Do you know what that might be really good for? I know one of your rubrics and marines are allowed to deploy in the midfield. They 2 CP to put them in midfield.
Yeah, so you've got Risen Rubric A as the
now what you could do is you could have those deployed right at the beginning.
Yep.
Use your warlord trait once you start a game and redeploy them. And you could bring them back if you needed to, or you could redeploy them in no man's land to one part of the board.
So I think with the update they've just had with the FAQ, redeploying in no man's lands where the limit is at now. So that redeployment that I get, I believe now, I'd have to double check it, it's just within my deployment area. Okay. So if you're deploying in a corner, it's not so great, but if you've got the whole long and table edge, then you can, that does give you better ability, which is why I'm probably not going to take it at the moment.
Okay, because there is like a lot of missions
swap out
now.
For another Thousans Sons specific warlord trait as well.
Fair one. And why Thousans Sons though? Why the Thousans Sons?
They've got a really good image, haven't they? I mean, nothing else is blue and yellow striped on the battlefield, is it? But no, I started these when I started playing 5th edition as a good counter to my Space Marines. I wanted something that kept a really good clean look, but again was chaos, to have that chaos guys, Imperium guys. So and I just like the whole, they're trying to do something right, but it went wrong, so they're now the bad guys, but they didn't mean to be.
The redemption
and all of that kind of stuff. So lore wise, I think they've got some pretty good lore, loads of interesting stories there for all the fans that read up on that kind of stuff. I'm not massive on it, but I know enough of it to think actually that's pretty cool backstory. So
we've
that's
got
why I went with it.
3 HQs. Let's go to your troop options then.
So troop
as
options,
we've just like segued down a little bit.
rubrics, zangers.
Okay.
They're my troops for this one. So I've got 2 10-man squads of rubrics, no Soul Reaper cannons or anything like that. It's just bolters. So we've got like a 10-man squad here, 10-man squad over there. Need to be painting it in a week.
And I do see a banner in that unit.
So
right?
So they've got an icon of flame. Good old days that would have just done a mortal wound someone nearby, but now it gives me an extra cabal point. So that 1 rubric squad is worth 2 cabal points
for you to be on the board. Amazing.
Other than that, any other sorcerer units 1 cabal point. So it helps rack up. Those quite handy, and they do come in handy as we've seen in the practice games. Yeah, absolutely.
I see a Rubik's Marine in the middle, but they're not holding bolters.
No, so this is just a little 5-man flamer squad.
Okay.
So it's all warp flamers for that horrendous amount of fire. We've found out, like Nick, unfortunately, with his orcs, has found out the flyers don't like flamers.
Yes, yeah.
Especially AP2 flamers.
They're very good
You know,
at taking down
They
flyers.
are.
Yeah.
So we've tried them by bouncing them forward to take out an annoying unit that could be a hassle, and they do a good destruction, but then they die. But they seem to do well at just holding that rear objective backed up on the other side of the table with the zangers. So yeah, I think that's going to be their role for me.
And then the zangers at the back with the banner. Does that make a difference? Does he having a banner?
So they have a banner. I've modelled them with the banner and the Brayhorn, and that gives a buff to their morale check. You can re-roll it, and I think the horn allows them to add 1 to their charge rolls, because they've only got the blade, so they've got no range weapon on them. They're going to sit on that back objective, and if someone gets nearby, they can charge it.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't get hammered first, basically.
Okay, that's amazing. And I see 2 rhinos. I'm assuming that's the transport for the...
So yeah, each 10-man squad's going to have a rhino. Whether they're in the rhino or not at the start of the game is going to depend on my opponent.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've got 2 rhinos, both combi flamers, not flamers, sorry, combi melters, and then combi bolters. Just for a little bit of, oh, there's a melter gun on that and it's getting in my tank kind of thing. Because yeah, it's only 1 melter gun, but...
Well, even a melter gun will take a character out.
Yeah, it's not cost me a lot in points wise, and again, it just adds that as a rhino there with an invul and an anti-tank ability.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at most individual characters, bike units from the Space Marines, characters alone like Ahriman and your sorcerer, you know, an Eldar. What are the Eldar called again? The Eldar Farseers, the Dark Eldar, are like Incubines and the Witches and stuff like that. And when you look at their HQ elements, a melter gun actually is reasonable enough to kill them.
Yeah.
They don't make their armor save or their invulnerable save, and you're rolling D6 plus 2 at half range. You are killing a character, and that is, I think that's amazing, because the maneuverability that with a 10-inch move from those rhinos to get around something, to get in range of a character is superb.
And you know, the 5-up invul, they're normally in turn 2 as well. You can get them into turn 3.
Yeah, that's one thing. Everything has a 5-up invul.
They can sit on an objective as well once the guys have got out and keep you those points whilst, you know.
Yeah.
And if need be, there's a strat as well. So if you're on 2 wounds, you just ignore the fact that you're on 2 wounds left on it and just use it like it had a full range, so you get all your ballistic skill back and
that's cool.
Your movement back. So you that 1,000 Sons Rhino on 2 wounds can still be quite annoying.
So what's this demon thing in the middle then?
So this was actually the first Forge World model I bought when it first came out quite a while back, and it's the Decimator Demon Engine. There's probably going to be some Thousans Sons players, especially on the competitive side, that are like, why aren't you using Soul Reaper, the Soul Flare thing, whatever it's called?
The one that does the mortal wounds.
Yeah, 2d3 mortal wounds, and that's that. You know? The reason for that is that's how I bought it years ago, so I've kept it.
Yeah. No,
but
that's cool.
you know, it's a butcher cannon.
Cool.
It's butcher cannon, gives me what, 36 inches range. I can bump it up to strength 8 if need be, so it's killing Marines on a 2.
Yeah.
You can bump up the AP on it, so it's AP3. You know, so it can be a bit annoying sitting there on the back, floating between objectives and supporting units. And
if you need to, you can throw it up. It does have a big giant claw. Yeah, I can see there.
It's essentially got the power fist. Yeah, it doubles its strength. It's on 12 wounds. It's got a hell flamer built into it. Again, AP, 2 damage, all that stuff. So it can be annoying.
I love the little helmet on it. It looks, I know it sounds silly, but it looks from this angle, maybe one of those masks that a Mexican wrestler wears. I know it sounds silly. Like he's got a Mexican wrestler helmet on.
He shall forever be known as Gringo.
Gringo.
Gringo the Decimator.
I just thought that, just looking at it, just thought the
now
angle.
You've said I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I was like, that's really cool.
Pants on his head.
Yeah. Okay, I noticed as well, so you got 3 Terminator units now.
Yeah, so as some of your followers might have seen in some of the practice games you've done, I've had Spawn, I had a Terminator Lord, the Rhinos had Havoc launchers, but the Spawn weren't earning their points back in any game.
Yeah.
You know, so we've binned them off. We've binned off the 4th character just to make opponents' life more difficult with secondaries, because Assassinate was a pretty standard one in my last list.
Yeah.
And we've managed to squeeze in another Terminator squad. So every squad, 3 5-man Terminator squads, all running with Hellfire missile racks, all running with Soul Reaper cannons. And we're probably going to put something like Persage on them for +1 in their +1 on their attacks. You know, I've got hopefully the Exalted sorcerers still about to buff them with 4-up involves if need be against certain targets and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, so that's the general list sort of layout and what you're taking.
Yep.
What about powers then? You know, have you settled on some powers at the moment?
I'm still on the fence about Twist of Fates.
And which one's that?
Twist of Fates, basically, you get a unit close enough to a character who's got a horrific invul you need to get rid of. You just remove his invul.
Oh, so you do have I'm assuming that's a psychic power?
Yeah, so that's a psychic power. You can get rid of their...
And you can just get rid of a unit or a model?
I believe it's a model.
So you just pick a model in range. I'm assuming it doesn't have to be the closest.
So it's 12 inches. You can buff that to 18 using Cabal points.
Yeah.
You have to do that before you cast it, obviously. And it's a unit. So
that is amazing.
You know, it could come in handy.
You imagine a Blade Guard unit, take the invuln away. A Demon Engine, take an invuln away. Even some of the
things
Eldar,
like
Grey Knights, no invuln. Even Terminators with Storm Shields, no invuln. Yes, they have a 2-up save, but still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you go up against any demon army, or anything with the demon keyword, bye, no invuln. And half of them don't even have an armor save.
And it's one of those things that you can give to one of the rubric squads, like the Flamer guys. You could give them Twist of Fate. They're going to sit in the back row, probably not use it, but he can attempt to cast it even if there's no one there. Then you can smash out some Cabal points, give it to the sorcerer and a Terminator squad who's got another power that he's got access to, can cast it as well.
Ah, that is cool.
And
so you could take it off 2 people.
Yeah.
No way. Now that is awesome. So that's one power that you're consistent, and is that you have to pick it or put it on a unit, or I mean not select. I mean I'm assuming that is...
So every psychic unit has to pick a power it's going to take.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So for instance, Ahriman, he's going to have Doombolt. He's going to have Swallowed by the Warp because he comes in quite handy as a little almost smash captain for a turn. The Exalted on the disc with the buffs, but it's the Witchfire stuff. Everyone's got access to Smite.
Yes.
We've lost the ability to constantly cast Smite on a 5, but with our +1 to cast, and again spending 2 Cabal points here and there to add, or for instance, we've got a stratagem that if you naturally roll a 9, you can heal that unit.
Yeah.
So if I've got a sorcerer somewhere who's down to 1 wound, I can wait until I can cast enough smites that I need to roll a 9 to cast. Spend the Cabal points to just cast it on its minimum value, and then use that stratagem to heal him.
So I see you've got about 15 Cabal points, is it, at the moment?
It's 15. It's 15 at the moment. It was 16, but with the tweak in the list, I've dropped 1.
Yes. Yeah.
So
with that additional Cabal points, you can then start to buff up, like you said, the certain units to get off the certain powers. That's
we
cool.
can get the range off on Smite or Doombolt, Zinch's Firestorm. All these ones that just dish out mortal wounds.
Yeah.
And again, if I need it to go off, I've got those Cabal points. I don't have to roll for it. It's gone off.
Nice. Okay, so we've got Ahriman's with his psychic powers.
Yeah.
The Lord on disc. Have we sort of like nailed down what he's carrying?
Yeah, he's going to be taking Weaver and Glamour of Zinch.
And Weaver and Glamour and Zinch do.
We got +1
to
their hit rolls.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, a -1 to the attacker's hit rolls.
Oh, okay. So he basically puts a load of trees in front of them and makes them dense.
Yeah.
-1 to hit. That's really cool.
And then gives them their 4+ invul. So
and the 4
drops that invul down from 5.
And then the chaplain, essentially the chaosy one.
Yeah. So I'm going to give him Desecration of Worlds. So when units are getting close to your deployment zone, he can cast that on them. Basically, every time they move, they roll a dice for each person in that unit. On a 6, it's mortal wound.
Okay.
So that's when they move, when they advance, and when they charge.
Yeah. So it's possible 3 times to roll 6s to take mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which I can see coming in handy more against a horde unit than something like 3 custodes running at you, because they've got their Feel No Pains and all that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other one?
So we've got Cocodemic Curse. It's just going on the rubrics. The rubrics with bolters. And this is, they spot a unit. It's quite a hard hitting unit. I can -1 to their ranged weapons.
Okay.
Which should come in handy. It's going to maybe drop them down to wounded on 4s instead of 3s.
So their damage for the opponent's weapon systems is dropped by 1.
The strength.
The strength. Okay.
Yeah.
Strength is dropped by 1.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that should come in handy with bits. But again, giving it in both the larger 10-man squads, I've got that option to cast it somewhere on the table, because it's not restricted to one unit. Unlike the Flamers, they're going to have Pirate Flux. and that just +1 strength on their flamers. So you've got a hand flamer that's strength 4, and the other flamers which are strength 5.
4d6 flamers at strength 5 -2 1 damage. It's very scary.
Yeah, we've also got the strat to buff that up another and buff the AP as well. So you could potentially have strength 7 AP 3 flamers.
Nice. Yeah, that's
is,
a scary thought to see. Yeah. And then the 3 Terminator squads, are we sort of like trying to get a unique setting with them, or are you trying to run them all the same so they can do the same jobs?
I think ideally they're all going to be in blobs on the table. Again, it depends on what the opponent brings to the table, whether they hold back a unit or 2 in reserve or they get deployed in the start. But they're going to have presage, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, prescience. It's
one? Essentially prescience. Yeah,
+1 to hit.
So it gives a bust. They're hitting on 2s instead of with no lords nearby, so that's handy. And the other 2 can just smite away.
Yeah.
So you've got that really offensive. The guys in the middle, +1 to hit. Guys either side.
And like you said, you've got Cabal points to be able to pick somebody else's power and then fire it through another one. So it's not necessarily they have to smite. They could use Doom Bolt. They could do something else that somebody else has done to take away their...
Firestorm.
Yeah. Who's going to carry the take away the invul one then?
Well, this is it. It could be something that would be handy on a Terminator squad, because they're ideally the ones that are going to deep strike.
Yeah, they have the best potential to use it.
And this, that, and the other, which is why I'm on the fence about it, because who does take it? Who would be the best person to have it? It is one of those things.
It is.
It's not really worked out in the games yet.
Yeah, you haven't seen the opportunity for it to benefit you.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be massive against Custodies, but then looking at the army, everything you've got takes them up to a 4-up anyway. Yeah, the AP2 sort of across the board. Yeah. So it's like, I could take your invul away, but you're still going to have a 2-up save.
Yeah.
4-up save.
Which isn't that much of an issue.
Yes, yeah. And then when you look at the other armies, again, taking someone's invul away is fine if they have a 4-up save.
Yeah.
But anybody with a 3 or a 2-up save, it doesn't seem to benefit you in the greater schemes of that. So I can see why you're not quite there with using it.
I've not used it in the last few games, and I've not missed it.
Yeah. So okay. So what's the idea of we talked about the army, we talked about the minis, the units, and the psychic powers. What is your sort of expectation on the board with them? What are you trying to achieve? Because everybody has their own personal. I mean, Charlie's like more of a stay back, hold the ground.
Yeah.
Nick's in your face with everything as fast as he can, dominate the board. What's sort of your perspective of what you're trying to achieve with your army?
Annoyance, I guess.
Just to be annoying. Okay. Yeah.
It's not got any. Thousands Sons are quite restricted to mainly the psychic phase. They've got the chance to do a little bit of damage in the shooting phase, but the psychic phase is where it's at. So it's that. You see your opponent's going to try and do something. You're like, right, I'm going to slow you down. I'm going to smite you to death, and just have them be like, there's nothing I can do. It's more of a fun, I think, in terms of a team tournament. On that random wild card factor, we don't know how well it's going to do, so it's just going to have to have fun. Just wreak havoc in the psychic phase, because I think unless I'm going against Grey Knights or another Thousans Sons player, possibly Death Guard, there's just going to be one turn where I just get to do shenanigans. So
that's really cool. So you're going to go with the wild card, just go out there and just see how it play it by the wind.
People are going to know what's coming. They're going to know Thousand Sons player. I'm going to have rubrics to deal with. I'm going to have acolytes to deal with, and loads of smite. So it might not be the most fun list for an opponent in the psychic phase, but hopefully with the way we played and stuff, it should.
Well, yeah, because what I've seen you do over the last 3 months with the list is streamline it.
Yeah.
When we first played, every single unit had a different psychic power.
Yeah, that was just insane.
Yeah, and to try and memorise every single different psychic power and then get that power to be in its position to do its maximum efficiency was really difficult. It's a skill in its own.
Yeah, the psychic phase was like orc shooting. It was taking ages. Yes. It was just too much. So
to streamline it and have the efficiency on the table that you have now, I think is a massive achievement for what the army can do on the table.
Yeah, it could put out, like you say, you've got what, 3, 6, 7 different psychic units that could have access to almost every power in the book and cast it. One unit could do each power per turn, but again, you've got to have it in the right place. So by just giving all the troops the same kind of power, all those Terminators the same kind of power, and using your characters really just for those buffs and access to other powers via stratagems and Cabal points and stuff.
It gives you that flexibility across the board no matter where they go.
It also brings a bit of ease into the play, so your opponent's not just like, oh, here we go, 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
You know, try and keep it a bit. So yeah, we're wanting to do well at the team. It's a tournament at the end of the day, but I don't want to be the bloke that's just, you know, got the guy falling asleep on the other side of the table.
Absolutely.
Because you're casting to death.
Okay, so the big question is then, how is this army deployed? That's what one of people say. We're looking at your army and you're thinking, okay, we've got the Rubrics Marines, we've got the Terminators, we've got the characters. How are you looking at deploying this army on the table?
So we've got the strong backline with the Zangors, the Flamers, the 2 characters that aren't on a disc, kind of holding an objective that would be in the area with the ability to push out a little bit. 10-man squads, possibly in Rhinos. I think if I'm going up against a really survivable army like Custodes, I'm probably just going to deploy everything and be like, okay, yeah, you've got feel no pains against everything, but you've got to take everything and you've got to roll everything every time. Whereas we know from playing Space Marine armies, Imperial Guard type armies, it's going to be deep strike and 3 Terminator units, keeping guys in vehicles for just flooding the table in turn 2, turn 3. So hiding turn 1, that the units come to me, psychic them to death in my turn, and then try and get shots off and charges in where possible, because we've still got some melee ability with the things like the Terminators, because they've got power swords but they're +1 strength, so they're strength 5, AP 3, so you know. But again, it's all about what the opponent puts on the table. If he's got such a big army that I know I can't deep strike in turn 2, I might as well just come on turn 1 and make him push through it all.
No, that's really cool. So in the sense of then looking at the missions that we've seen and played so far, how are you looking at those and thinking about secondaries?
Secondaries is always an issue. The standard one, I think, for me is mutate landscapes from the codex. It's proven pretty solid every time.
Absolutely solid and incredible.
The psychic action, you can do it. It's basically cast a power onto an objective and you get 3 points. It doesn't matter if people are on the objective, if it's contested, if there's, you know, object secure troops on it, you just get in range, cast it, 3 points.
And when we say in range, you mean you have to have at least one model from the unit that it has a psyker on it on the objective. So there is a possibility to deny you if they just screen out of the objective, but like you said, you just got to put a toe on it and then do your little shabam.
It's got to be the sorcerer within that, because of the way the rules work. Anything from any psychic powers and things like that done from a unit has to be from that.
It's only range though, isn't it?
Yeah. So you know,
that's really cool though.
Tag that objective. You know, that's 3 points straight off, and you can get it pretty consistently each turn. You've also got the ability with cabal points and stratagems and stuff to do an action, smash the stratagem, and then do your psychic powers anyway. So that
and we've definitely seen that, and it's very effective. That
Yeah.
So that's a guaranteed. Then that's one of you're going into every game thinking I'm taking every game with that in your back pocket. That's one of my secondaries. Mutate landscapes. What sort of your idea of taking the others then?
So I think if I'm going against a character heavy army, I could probably get away with Assassinate. Purely because of things like Doombolt, Zinch's Firestorm, Gaze of Hate. You don't have,
and all these powers are
Psychic Phase. Excuse me. Psychic Phase. They don't have to be the nearest unit. It's just target a unit within range, and you can snipe
line
those.
of sight, and they need to be in range. That's it. Amazing.
So
it ignores all of that bodyguard rule that everybody hates in the game so far. You're like, don't care about your bodyguard. I'm going to attack your mind, not your body.
And so, even if Ahriman who's carrying Doombolt is nowhere near that character, you drop a Terminator squad in there. Get Ahriman to cast it into an empty building if he needs to, but it's been cast, so I can cast it again with 8 cabal points, 7 cabal points. And you've got D3.
Because it is weird about how casting works, because it just says roll the dice and it's cast, and then you select the model. I believe in the way
you have
that
to select your target, and you have to select your target, but you can attempt to manifest a power. It doesn't say you have to.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Someone.
That's what I mean. It's really weird. So casting it and then being able to have a Terminator do it after because it's been casted at least once is really cool. So you've got that sort of assassination on the board depending on your armies. But I mean, like we always say in the community that there are 2 sort of secondaries we know we're going into every game taking. It's that third one that sort of catches us off. So what's your second one that you almost want to take in every game?
I'm trying to remember the name of it. me and you played a game where we had to control the center objectives basically.
Oh,
Stranglehold.
Yeah.
Stranglehold. I think that can work quite well for me, purely because of the survivability with the 5-up invols, ability to heal wounds, things like that, even without taking time.
The ability to have a 4-up invuln as well.
Yeah.
On one unit that's going to sit up on that stranglehold position.
Yeah.
And considering the benefit of what your army delivers on the table, and we haven't mentioned this yet, but every single unit has obsec.
Bar the Decimator and the Rhinos, I think, but yeah, everything else does.
Yeah. So I mean, what we say by everything, I mean everything that's going to be moving forward onto objectives, or taking it off your enemy, has obsec.
Yeah.
Your Terminators, your Zangors, all of your Rubrix Marines.
Yeah.
So that stranglehold,
That
I think,
core.
has that core element. And considering a lot of the secondaries and tertiary type parts of the mission now, is you need obsec and you need troops. I think you have the ability to do really well on that, primary tertiary mission. The stranglehold is a great one. I didn't even. Yep, that's a great. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about stranglehold, but yeah. And then your third one.
I think third one is going to be. It's going to be dependent on your
the army.
against,
The army and mission.
Yeah. Again, playing someone like Nick, for instance, our orc player, bring it down.
Yes.
It's all vehicles. Why wouldn't you take bring it down? But again, you go against a guy that's got a ton of Lehman Russes. You're probably not going to take bring it down.
Unless you're an Imperial Fist player and you think you can do it and you don't.
Yeah. So there's a few random ones in there that I think you can't go into a game knowing that's what you're going to take, because until you see what the list is, obviously you can read what the list's going to be, but how much time in a tournament do you get to sit down and go, I'm going to take this, this and this?
How do you feel about the stratagems from, not stratagems, the secondary objectives like engage on all fronts, because it competes with Stranglehold?
Yeah.
And then you've got the ones in the shadow operations, which are like behind enemy lines, do NDA, which is do the rod essentially, the new Natman data, and the deploy teleport homers. Are they any consideration with those sort of, with the manoeuvrability you have?
Engage on all fronts is a consideration. It's not worth as much now, obviously.
Yeah.
And with the way it's scored, you have to have the 3 units. You can't do it with a character, but you can do it with a vehicle.
So it's a potential on these 6 objective sort of games over Stranglehold.
Yeah, if I've got an elite army, say like Custodes, unless he can, if I get first turn for instance, and I can spread out before he can, I can get into those quarters and snatch that again with Sorcerer's Facade, being able to blip from one corner to the other with a unit and things like that to catch those points, especially in turn 4, turn 5. It could help bring the score back in a bit, but at 2 points per corner, basically, it's not.
Yeah, it's not massive.
I haven't tried the teleport homers yet. Natman data again could work because it's just a unit in that quarter. So even if you can charge a unit in,
the hard thing is because all of your models do psychic powers, they do the shooting, they're relying on the efficiency in themselves. To have them do an action and then not do anything else is huge. You lose so much of your potential on the table to do damage. So I can understand why you're not taking the rod and the teleport homer because of that. Okay, so that's the secondaries sort of mulled over. Is there any armies you don't want to face? I mean, obviously the obvious one is Custodies, considering that's the meta armor out there. I don't think anybody wants to face the Custodies at the moment.
Custodies is something else, isn't it?
It is at the moment, yes.
You can dish out all the damage you want in psychic phase, and they're just like, but it's losing a wound. Feel no pain it, feel no pain it, feel no pain it. As we saw with the practice games against Rich and his really strong list. Is it the Telemon?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Really, really strong units. Trying to outscore them as well with objects secured. Not very good. Each model's worth 2 points.
Yeah. So a 5-man unit struggling against a 3-man unit because they're worth 6 to your 5. And that can be really tough to deal with.
And I think the other one, I haven't faced the AdMech for a while. I think it was a tournament we went to a couple of years ago now, like a friendly-ish tournament. Was the last time I faced AdMech, and obviously they've had a lot of rules changes since then.
I don't think we're going to see much AdMech there, but so that's your 2 concerns: the Custodians and the AdMech. Really,
the AdMech is more the unknown. People might be going, but what about the Tau? Rail guns. You can't get your invuln save against the rail guns and things like that. But
it's one attack.
Yeah, it's one attack. It's like going against that player that's got a Bane Blade or a Titan. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Score the points. And go from there.
So favourable What army would you?
Marines.
Marines. Okay.
Marines.
Any
I
Marine?
think Grey Knights would be an interesting matchup. Black Templars would be an interesting matchup. But things like Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Dark Angels, you kind of generic, gunliney, maybe assaulty type armies. I think we can mop them up quite well.
Yeah.
They tend to deal with Marine equivalents quite easily, so just because of the psychic phase.
Yes. Yeah, you are very strong in the psychic phase. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about the army itself?
Nothing's come to mind. You've asked a ton of questions.
Well, I wanted to make it quite thorough. I wanted it to be informational for anybody looking at collecting the Thousans Sons and how you build the Thousans Sons and why you build it and what you're trying to achieve with it to try and help that community out there with the Thousans Sons.
I mean, I've got units for my Thousand Sons that aren't in here, like Big Red Magnus. He's fantastic miniature, great centerpiece for fun games and those large games at your club days out and stuff like that. I've got the Contemptors. I've converted a Hellbrute. Hellbrutes are loads of fun because your opponent's like, oh, I'm taking wounds off you, and you're like, yeah, but you've now just buffed him. You know, so there's little things like that.
I mean, the Contemptor's a bit of a kick in the teeth with its points increase. And the fact that everything else that since the Contemptor has been good has just outperformed the Contemptor.
Yeah.
And it's been almost designed to kill the Contemptor.
Yeah.
In that's how I feel, because I bought 3. Yeah. And I was like, I'm ruling. And I did really well the first time I played my 3. I think I went 13 games unbeaten at the time with him. But yeah, with everything that's since came out from that, everything's been designed to either kill them or just strip them away from the table.
And you put it down on the table and people are like, kill Contemptor.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to go for it straight away. Decimator, a little bit of an unknown. Again, not got the soul pattern burners on there. So they're like, oh, you know, that's not the standard loadout. It's the 12 wounds, the regen's a wound. It's got its 5-up invul. I can buff it.
Yeah. And it does take dedication to take it down. It's not a walk in the park.
I think people are going to look at it and be like, oh, it's a big dreadnought, let's just wipe it out, and then it's still standing a bit.
Because it's definitely in the realms of competing against the Redemptor in its survivability.
Yeah.
You know, but it's got the 5-up invul over everybody else's Redemptor unless they're playing Ultramarines with Tiggy. So it has resilience to stick around on the table a lot longer than most other dreadnought-sized vehicles. And it does have the Demon Forge keyword, I believe.
Yeah, it's a Demon Engine.
So you do have a stratagem for it to be able to re-roll everything to hit and wound. One of those, I think it's one of those stratagems.
That
so
kind of thing.
In the back pocket for that, you know, hitting hard in one phase.
And it's a nice Forge World model that gives a load of character to your army as well.
Oh yeah, it stands out.
And it doesn't cost a CP to field it, unlike the
Contemptor,
you know, so you're just like,
yeah.
I'm in. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fair one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick breakdown of I know it's been a while, but I hope you've enjoyed the breakdown. If you've got any questions for Rob, drop in the comments, like and share and do all the good stuff for us. Put it in the analytics, you know, make us spread it out there. And we hope to catch you soon with another one. We've still got a couple other people to interview and get up onto the channel for the actual lists themselves. So check us out in the future and we'll catch you later. Bye bye.